Oh, we're live. That's exciting. When we're talking to this thing. Um, it's a bit isn't it? It's not a very high value microphone, is it?
It's like we're here to talk about how to be high value and to land the perfect relationship with a very small mic.
See, it's not the size that matters. And when you become a high value man, you will learn this, right? So you might get a whole bunch of checklists of things that you want or are told to become in order to be a high value man. And a lot of it is bullshit because it's all external, it's all superficial, and it all expires. So if you're someone who believes that you need to become a high value man by fulfilling what's on these checklists, you're going to be disappointed. Because a high value woman is going to want a high value man, and a high value woman, a genuine high value woman, not these some of these fakers that you see on Instagram and on some of these shows that appear to be a high value woman and they're not. So a genuine high value woman will respect you for the embodiment of what you're here to be and what you're here to do. So if you're a man who doesn't have a purpose and thinks he just needs to make $1 million and buy a Bugatti and learn how to chomp cigars between his butt cheeks or whatever he wants to do, that's not going to attract you a high value woman. So, in all of this really boils down to what are you willing to do? What are you willing to do to let go of this identity of yourself to become a high value man, right? So, for me in my journey, what I needed to let go of, but I always needed to be right. I needed to let go of that I had all the answers. I needed to let go of hiding myself and my vulnerabilities from a woman. So it might feel good to look invincible and invulnerable, but deep down, a woman can detect those weaknesses. And what I see in some of these shows that speak to how to be a high value man is be stoic, right? Be stoic. Don't show your emotions. And it's bullshit. Like the woman, if you actually want to marry a woman, if you've got a whole bunch of hussies on the side, then go listen to some other guy that smokes cigars and wants a Bugatti. If you want a woman, a high value woman, then she will listen to what's going on. She will test you to see what you're speaking to is really the truth. And she'll detect it. She'll detect straight away if you're out of integrity, if you're someone who pretends to be something that you're not. Women have a radar for this, unless they're instinct injured, and then they'll choose someone who pretends to be.
I want to expand that a bit, and maybe the mic comes closer because I'm noticing down here that the volume comes up a bit more. Nice. Yeah, nice. I wanted to ask, because there's a lot of talk out there at the moment in the sphere, the manosphere, as they say, like Fresh and Fit and these kind of channels around, what it means to be a man in traditional forms. Like, for example, you need to be making a lot of money, you need to be above 6 feet, and like all these kind of things. Is there falsities in that way of thinking? And if so, what are they and why are they wrong? Because, a lot of the stuff they speak about tends to be founded back into hypergamy. That women will always date someone higher in status. Where is that relevant and where is it not relevant, and why is it not relevant if it isn't relevant?
Yeah,
I'll say relevant one more time. Relevant.
Revenant, revalent, revolutionate. So thanks, Luke. That's great. What I hear in that is you can't escape your biology. Okay, so you are hard coded to be a certain way, and hypergamy, sure, yeah, a woman will look to trade up at some level, but only if the guy isn't fulfilling her needs. And that can come from maybe you're emotionally unavailable, maybe you spend more time polishing your Bugatti instead of listening to her. Right. So while there's advantages in being like fit and having a purpose and making a lot of money, and there's security in that and there's status in that. Again, if you want a woman, someone who you want to raise a family with, somebody who you want to actually have conversations with and create a vision with, then she's going to see more through that. She'll see straight through that because she would have been surrounded by men who think that that's how you need to be. And she knows it. She smells it. She can smell it on you a mile away when you rock up in that Bugatti with cigar smoke on cigar smoke on your jacket, right? So why that's important is it's important for you to pursue that you have some kind of purpose, right? So if you do make a lot of money or you are fit, then that shows that you have discipline. You're disciplined to yourself and what you want to persevere and what your struggle is in order to be great, in order to be better than what you were yesterday. There's an honoring in that I think women find very attractive. Like if you look at men who cheat, for example, they tend to be men who at a high level cheating, they tend to be men who have a purpose. They have some attractive qualities about them. So women flock to them. The injury there in the cheating is that the man feels like he's not getting what he needs from his woman, or is unable to express whatever his wants and needs are. Right, so he goes to somebody else. I digress. The injury place for women when they feel like they need to find a man that's like this is because what they've been told. So they're just listening to their biology. They're just thinking about their security. And if a woman is completely focused on her security, then she'll choose some dumpster truck of a guy that might have all the status, but deep down, he's just a cheating bastard, right? He has no interest in you as a person, as an individual. He just wants to use your body as like another Bugatti, right? And then when that car runs out, when your model runs out, when your time runs out, it's time to trade you in. So I think women detect this and they ignore that instinct and aim for something that's purely physical or superficial.
And do you think that that men should be exclusive to women, or do you think that it's okay for men to have multiple partners?
Great question. So this really boils down to what's right for you. And like if you're a guy that lives in his heart, out for purpose, like I honestly think that there's no space for more than one woman, right? I think the emotional investment in having a partner that wants to be by your side, there's only space for one. And if you're a guy that wants to play multiple women, that maybe you have spare capacity, and how you want to live your life is how you want to live your life. But if you're a man that wants to have multiple women, I really question: are you doing what you're here to do? Because that titty runs out. That gets boring after a while. There's only so many vaginas and titties you can see before it's like I'm bored with this. So at some point you're going to come to the end of that train, and maybe you'll look down at your timeline of your life and you'll be like, oh no, I have a lot of women. Great, cool, like the Hugh Hefners of the world. Cool. Maybe you want to be another Hugh. I think you're called to something that's much bigger, and it requires questioning this insatiable hunger to be with lots of women. And maybe you are more suited to polyamory or non-monogamy. Ultimately, you need to design the relationship structure that you want. And in order to do that, you need to know how to trust yourself. Is this an instinct injury that's playing out? Is this an attachment injury that's playing out? Or is this genuinely what I want to experience for the rest of my life? And if you want to have kids, one woman works. One woman works. If you don't want to have kids, then play the field. But if you don't want to leave a legacy in genes with a son or a daughter, then maybe monogamy isn't for you.
Some would say that you have your main person, the main person you're seeing, and other people on the side. You have people who, say you're on a work trip and you might sleep with someone or do something like that. Is that okay? Is that okay to do that?
I think if I was to include morality in that question, I'd say no. Like you're betraying somebody that you love, and I've worked with plenty of people who have had betrayal and infidelity in their relationships, and some people want to work through it, and some people don't. And it really boils down to, can your partner forgive you? And if you want to repair that relationship, are you willing to do the hard yards to own your infidelity? Like, are you willing to be with your partner being mad at you, suspicious of you, checking your phone, like being anxious and needing to reassure her, if we're talking about a man cheating on a woman, reassure her that you're not wanting to be that guy anymore, right? Or you might have a relationship where you just open relate. Maybe you do. Yeah.
But wouldn't it be a case then of you, and I'm playing devil's advocate here, but wouldn't it be a case of that person choosing the right person that's okay with that? Because there are a lot of women that are okay with that. And it tends to be people who are in high status positions who are able to ask for women to do that because they're how would you say, they're the 1%ers.
Sure. And if you feel like you're one of the 1%ers and that works for you, then
isn't it rather than feel, isn't it a given? Like, isn't it rather like subjectively? I mean, objectively, you are someone who has X amount of money. You do have resources. You have the connections. You have all these things. So the way that I see it, right? So there's an objective point of view, like someone is or they isn't. They isn't high status. Now, what I mean by that is that there's key metrics, right? Finances, appearance, fashion, style. Those are just some things amongst many. But there have been studies done that show there are certain characteristics that will define someone. Some of them are more intangible and less, and others are intangible. But generally speaking, there's this person is high status. They're in the 1% of men in Australia or in America or in a Western country, they're earning the most money, and they're also charismatic, they're charming, all these things. Don't they then have the choice to choose someone who is a partner that they're allowed to be non-monogamous with, polyamorous perhaps?
Sure. I mean,
I guess, is it wrong to be that person?
No, I don't think it's wrong. Right. I think every individual has an opportunity to choose whatever their relationship dynamic is, and if that works for you, then do it. And then at some point you might pursue that to the end, and you're like, okay, I don't want this anymore, or you might just want it for the rest of your life. I think as long as you stay true to yourself, that's all that really matters. That's all that really matters. If you can find a partner that's like, yeah, you know what, I don't care if you play around, because I know that I have this part of you. I know I have this. There's either a compromise or an exchange there where there's a knowing that this is ongoing. There's something that's in this for me. If there's not something in it for her, then I'd either argue that she's instinct injured, or
tell us what that is. Instinct injury.
Instinct injury. In instinct injury is where someone doesn't know how to trust their instincts and is persuaded by some outside characteristic that gives them a false security. So, for example, for a woman, like they might be interested to be with a guy purely because he's providing her security. But deep down, the relationship's abusive, it's toxic, it's boring, and she's only there because it's providing her security. Maybe because she's lazy, maybe because she doesn't want to make the effort to create her own life. So she'd rather just run on the coattails of somebody else. So an instinct injury is a combination of characterology. It's a combination of your childhood traumas, which have disconnected you from your core self. Like when you're a child and you want to go do something and your parents tell you no, and then you listen to them, and then you store that in your body as I'm not allowed to do that. That becomes an instinct injury. And this is in all through psychology. Is that an instinct injury is what disconnects you from who you are, and you could also argue that anxiety and depression and some key mental health issues are at the root an instinct injury.
I hear that. Very nice.
Thank you.
I love it. So yeah, man, we can keep going. We can wrap it up now.
I'll wrap it.
Let's wrap it. Cool, like a roll up. Any final words?
Final words. Final words are, create what you want for you. And in order to do that, you need to connect to what your body is telling you that is correct for you. If you have no contact with your inner authority or your instinct, then I can help you do that.
And I'm just here for the good times.
You followed your instinct.
I did. And I have an instinct injury as well. Riddle me that. Love you guys.